Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I am your host Sleepy Celestial. Now guys, happy 4th of July. As you know, Beyonce is kicking off her Washington tour today. She is kicking off the Washington DC leg of the Cowboy Carter tour. Now I have been presented with another premonition that I am here to share with you guys. It's called The Echoes of America, the father of the 50 states. Now this prediction is going to connect the interconnected field of the three acts. Now I've been really going back and watching all of the footage that I recorded for the Cowboy Carter, and I am shocked that I did not really explain this part to you guys. I think this episode of the Beyonce experience will turn a lot of things on its head. For one, it has an interconnection with like I mentioned in the past in my videos, with the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl this year and Beyonce doing the Beyonce Bowl last year. They have an interconnection with the Patriotic theme. For one, we saw Samuel L. Jackson opens up the Super Bowl this year, and he said, "I'm Uncle Sam, and this is the great American game." As he approached and explains that, we see that Kendrick Lamar mentions that he is the wrong guy to be sending out this message. It's a cultural divide, and that you picked the wrong guy for the wrong time, indicating there is a separation in America. And I've been mentioning that the 50 states, or even the 52 states, or whatever it is, contracts with the Beyonce Cowboy Carter tour, which has 32 stars, and within those 32 stars there are 32 events within Black history that interconnects with the Beyonce experience, as well as the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl. For one, Samuel L. Jackson is playing as Uncle Sam, whereas the Dodge Fuser, whatever the car that Kendrick was standing on, that is considered like the dark horse. And you could see that the bloodshed that America has spilled, the black bloodshed, is SZA. So all of these interconnect follows through the segment of the interludes that Beyonce plays out, which is titled The Propaganda, which we will get into once we get there. But to make this even more, I would say, the subliminal of this the Super Bowl, indicating that the Uncle Sam is directing, or he's orchestrating, the entire Super Bowl performances. He's also looking around the flag, how the flag is positioned as black and white, as well as the blues, and that Kendrick is a representation of each of those colors, and how America is currently divided right now. And Samuel L. Jackson as Uncle Sam said, "You're too rowdy, you're too loud. We need something that's gonna spike them but not scare them," indicating that they're literally playing like an X's and O's type of game, and we are the victims of that game. And followed to that, going back to the Renaissance. And this is why I say Beyonce is the greatest performer that we have right now. Beyonce has been hinting at how America is plunging into darkness. When she referenced this on the Renaissance tour, how she mentioned that control. And I feel as if, and I'm gonna make something that's gonna shock a lot of people. There's a segment where when she say control, she basically start creating this warping, hypnotizing space, and she's basically complaining or emphasizing that whoever tries to control you or controls the media controls the image of America. And it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat, whoever controls the segment of perception. She said that whoever controls the media controls the mind, indicating whoever is on the current top of the society at the moment controls the face of America, and how we perceive each other and how we interact with each other. All that is plunged into chaos with one of my most interesting covers, and I can't wait when she actually released the visuals. That part of America has a problem. I've been saying this. Childish Gambino, Kendrick Lamar, Beyonce, they should make a collab together, because when she came out with America Has a Problem, and it was in the segment of the Renaissance, we did not pay attention to what was happening in the background. We had an inflated version of Beyonce sitting there, which I think this is the news anchor version of Beyonce, and how there was a lot of things happening in the background, like flooding, management, market crash. All of these things she was predicting kind of mirrors what's going on in America right now. And the crazy thing is, tonight she's opening up in DC. She's gonna be even more patriotic and more crazy on this part of the tour. Now that the tour is wrapping up, I think she's gonna emphasize more energy. Now that she has DC, she has 2 nights in DC, then she has 4 nights in Atlanta, and then the last leg will be Las Vegas. And then she gets into the segment of propaganda, and how she started explaining the focus of America, the driving force that makes this a democracy. Like, she literally spelled out democracy for us without actually speaking, and that is some scary shit, because she started saying, like, the way that America wants black people or any minority to conform to the patriotic version of what America should look like. She went back, and that goes back to all of the 42 characters that she has created for just Cowboy Carter alone. I mentioned this before. Cowboy Carter is an important piece of history, and that when she mentions that the cover of Cowboy Carter needs to be conform, and how the color of Cowboy Carter is a black and white cover, which almost indicating that in order for you to be accepted, you must have blue eyes, blonde hair, and you must be to closest of white as possible, indicating that there are some minorities that in order for them to fit in, they must conform to the ideals of America, and how it's important for them to look the part, but also when it's time to look the part. And this part of the segment of the Cowboy Carter explained exactly that. And she said, like, conform, and with conform we sing and we become the part. Like, that was written very boldly on the Cowboy Carter stage. And how when she started talking about conform, she started, like, when these people go back to their homes and they erase what the image that they portray outside of society, she kind of like start erasing that conforming out of her face. Like, she start removing the makeup, the eye contacts. She start removing all of these things. From there, she literally start brushing these things off, and thus creating a new image from herself. So basically saying that, like, when you're at your house or when you're inside your space, how do you see yourself compared to how society see yourself? And I think that was probably the most powerful message that she sent to America, that I feel as if with along those things, as she was saying this, I have an even greater sense of that while she's becoming conformed and captured, I went back and researched that from conform comes with capture. And I feel as if Beyonce, or one of the themes, I would say Cowboy Carter is basically means that she is trapped, she is in jail in this patriotic system, and the aliens, which is coming from Renaissance, is trying to free Sasha Fierce. I think Sasha Fierce is in this matrix. She is locked, she is kept away to let out. And I think slowly but surely she will be let out, and that will start off the act 3. To give you guys a better explanation of that, take a look at this. Beyonce, or whoever this is, and I believe that is Sasha Fierce, from all the years of like the abuse of what she has gone through, has now stuck in this matrix system that is called the Patriotic prism of Cowboy Carter. She is now giving her name, she's giving that name Cowboy Carter because she has now conformed to the system in order for her to survive that system. That is Sasha Fierce, but she's stuck in this patriotic matrix system, and the Cowboy Carter system is America's system, and that Renaissance, which is the liberate of freedom and liberation, is coming to save Cowboy Carter. And when Renaissance released Cowboy Carter, then the true essence of the 3 acts will start beginning, because this character, which is actually Sasha Fierce, has probably been stuck since Beyonce announced that Sasha Fierce was no more. And I think that that will make a head turner for a lot of people, that that character has been locked away for, I would say, almost decades, and that she's ready to break out to kick off the next act, which will definitely be rock, and it will have inspiration of jazz and rap, like I mentioned before. So I believe that with all of these predictions, Beyonce's kicking off the tour tonight, and I think she's gonna put more emphasis on the American history because it's the 4th of July, because they say this is the founding of America. She's going to do something very special for this tonight. And like I said, the way Sasha, it felt like she has kept herself in this room, and this room is almost as if she is being judged. You know, this is also a part of her history of country. Country is also inspired with the essence of horse riding, and all of her collective mind, her idea that makes her Beyonce, are all in that room. It almost looks like it's a theater, but it's also people are watching her every move in this cell that they create for her. And I think when she breaks out, when she decides to conform to become the better version of what they want, she will break out to kick off the next act. And I think by saying that, like I said, Sasha Fierce is captured, and she is being conformed to release Cowboy Carter, or she is under that name Cowboy Carter for a reason. You know, she must, it's almost like as if she's an agent. She is captured, but she has to play her part in order for her to not be discovered. This is probably the most important segment of Cowboy Carter, because all of her life accomplishments are being displayed in these old radio TV heads, and it almost feels like this. Sasha Fierce, we haven't heard from her since the Sasha era, and it's like she hasn't really said anything ever since Self-Titled came out. She hasn't really came back out. So this is a perfect example of literally what she is planning on doing for Act 3. And what makes it even more special is like they're both looking at the imagery of what's going on that TV. The horse, which could be an indication of Cowboy Carter, the essence of Cowboy Carter, or the essence of country, and then Sasha Fierce, almost as if there's a fusion happening while they're both watching the ideal of what society has become from the future or the past. And the future could be a representation of Renaissance, because like she mentioned before, Cowboy Carter should have been first, Renaissance should have been second, and the third act could be, like I said, rock, jazz, and rock and roll would be third, indicating the present which will explain the past. And also they could also be interchangeable. And like I said, it goes back even further of how they're explaining all of the critiques when the album was released, and how she is literally recording herself watching all of these things happen. And it's almost like that part where she's almost like banging on the screen, almost like the jail cell. She is basically telling herself to let out, and that is a very Sasha Fierce energy that I feel coming from that. And she's looking at the present. It's like when someone is incarcerated or so, outside of the world they're watching the whole world goes on, but inside of the cell it feels like nothing has gone past at all. And that Sasha Fierce mindset is like, she's seeing what is happening, but she can't control what's actually happening. She kind of wakes up to the point where it's like she woke up or she got out. She's looking at America's divided. The way she left America is not how she found it. Almost like she is coming back to reclaim all of the deeds or the bad deeds of America and try to flip it, like try to give it a better light. And that is exactly what she is planning on doing. And you could see like she is all of these criticism allowing herself to push towards the narrative that America is getting to a position where it's too dangerous for itself, and that the best way to conform this, she must play that part in order for her to begin the sacrificial of the land to purify it. And that is a part within even Amen where she talks about propaganda. These beds are made of lies of stone, that she came here to conform the narrative, to clean up her father's. So that part in Amen, I don't think she was talking about her father, but I think the land, the father, the forefathers. She is explaining that she's purifying their sins by taking on this sin. And then she even referenced Elvis, which a lot of people think that Elvis and I forgot who else started rock and roll. But as you see, she is almost as if she is turning the TV and basically getting prayed to be let out. And like, when Beyonce goes Sasha Fierce mode, she is screaming, she is going off to making sure that she is being seen. And then we see Beyonce conforming, becoming Uncle Sam, and she's talking about more money, more capitalism, more advancement, more industrial. It almost like Cowboy Carter is the industrial revolution for music, and as she built on that, she's able to try to escape. And then she shows that this Lady of July, that's what I'm planning on calling it, how she is trying to become this agent of conforming, and that as she reached to the position to remove herself from this position, she is able to dissect herself as she removed the patriotic look, right? And she looks closer to white here with the blue eyes and more bleached blonde hair as she erased that to conform into society. And I think that also portrays that they think that she's trying to conform herself to whiteness, but in reality she's just putting up a mask, and she's making sure that, okay, if I was dressed like this, you would have accepted me, but because I don't dress like this, that's why I'm being targeted. And it's almost explaining that if she was a white person or a Caucasian person that was doing this type of album, it would have been praised for. But because she's a black woman in America, despite all of the, like she said, despite all of the noise, we sing. Basically, she said, despite all of that chaos, the best thing we could do right now is to be together and sing, or faith. And that's why I say in Yaya, when she said we gotta keep the faith, even though when we see things look like it doesn't look peaceful, we have to remember that God is still in charge of a lot of things. And I think that message alone from Cowboy Carter speaks volumes to what the album actually is. And I think this segment of Cowboy Carter Experience was very impactful and how it's portrayed. So going back to what Cowboy Carter is, basically a cleanser to America. It's basically saying that I'm the new face of America, or I'm taking out Uncle Sam, but I'm also replacing Uncle Sam with someone that actually understands the hurt and pain of America. This is why I said this episode of the Beyonce Experience is called The Echoes of America, because Echoville is not just talking about the past, future, and present. She's talking about the past and the pain that comes with this flag and how it could be portrayed or misconstrued in the wrong hands. And like I said, as she closed out the Washington DC leg of this tour today and the 7th, she is also completing the rest of the stars. As she closes out on the rest of the stars, I think she's gonna make something very special as she closes out. Also, not to mention, Beyonce also, like I mentioned before in the past, with winning the Innovation Award, she mentioned a couple of names that I really wanted to put out there. When she mentioned Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Big Mama Thornton, B.B. King, Chuck Berry, Roy Helmet, Little Richard, Ray Charles, and Matilda Jackson, all of these people will be definitely covering rock. Like I said, the Echoville of America doesn't stem just from that. She is going deeper to Act 3, and these are the pioneers that kicks off Act 3. So thank you guys so much. I know it was a long video. Make sure you guys enjoy, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.